So the basics of working with unpleasantness is to call it sensation. Become very aware or mindful of how that constellation of sensations changes. Sense the space around it, give it room, let it be there. What if it's really strong? What if it's really strong and it throws us off balance and we can't just be interested in and feel it changing around and being unpleasant? One of the most valuable practices that I've done with really much more intense physical unpleasantness is to identify the places in my body where it's either neutral or pleasant. And that can sometimes be my hands, or it might be around my eyes or my feet, someplace like that. And then if you think of it as zones, zone 1 is where there's real unpleasantness. Let's say you have a really bad lower backache, okay? And then zone 2, where it's neutral or pleasant, let's say is the hands. And so what you do is you're pendulating or going back and forth. So you might, for me, if it was my lower back, I'd feel my lower back a little, but then I'd go to my hands and rest and kind of get some resilience and feel myself balanced, and then bring the attention to the lower back for a little bit, and then back to my hands. I mentioned lower back because that was a pain place right as I was scanning that I could feel a little discomfort. And you go back and forth. And as you do that, you find that there's more space that you're living in. You actually make room for the unpleasantness in a way that really is helpful. But at times, if it's really strong, it's not wise to try to be with it. It is wise to move away from it. And because it can really exhaust you or depress you. You can really wipe out on it. So take a break, move the attention elsewhere. Not just to the breath, but you might move the attention to music or to something you're reading or to having a cup of tea. In other words, don't try to stay with it. Sometimes we need support in opening to some larger space so we don't have to stay fixated with the pain. And that's true with emotional pain or physical pain. I was really struck by one story. There's a lot of bringing mindfulness into schools in Washington, D.C., and in one story, bringing it into an inner city school. One little girl, when she was really upset, said she had a new strategy, that when it felt too much for her, she would put her hand on her dog's heart and feel her dog's heart, and that helped to give her enough space or distance so she could then be with what was there. Isn't that a beautiful strategy? That's what I mean by moving away. There's sometimes we need some distance. We need to connect to something else, something larger. Have some tea, be in nature, listen to music, and then come back and feel what's here. So it's not like we're always plunging right into the center of what's difficult.